What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Rockling Road Show. I am Alvie.
I'm the 1-3, and this is
Robin Hawk.
And we're also joined by
The 1-4.
So we got a full house tonight for everybody tonight. We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk everything women rider today. That's the title of this episode is Empowering Women Riders. So I stole that from you guys. Hopefully you don't mind.
Not at all.
But yeah, so we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk about some really cool things for female riders. A lot of rides coming up for female riders as well. So before we do that, we'll do what we always do. We'll pay the bills, and then we'll jump right in, and we'll have some fun tonight.
ready.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. So as usual, we're brought to you by Misfit Metalworks. Misfit Metalworks offers CNC plasma cutting, welding, metal fabrication, and prototyping services, as well as laser engraving. You can contact the Misfits for all your metal needs at 813-598-7409 or stop by the shop at 1913 East Bears Avenue, Unit 1100B, Tampa, Florida, 33613. Let them know the Rockling Road Show sent you.
Also brought to you by Eric Warren Artistry and Dropkick Customs. Eric Warren Artistry is a custom paint and fabrication studio that specializes in turning all of your custom dreams into reality. EWA offers a one-stop shop for all your paint, metal and fiberglass needs, welding, powder coating, motorcycle stereo equipment, air ride systems, custom wheels, and parts development with their epic line. You can contact Eric Warren Artistry at 813-503-4764, or you can stop by the shop at 13215 North Nebraska Avenue, Suite A, Tampa, Florida, 33612. And, of course, let Eric know that we sent you there. And last but certainly not least, we're brought to you by the Franhouse Law Group. Franhouse Law Group provides legal representation for victims of negligence. They handle a broad range of personal injury and wrongful death matters, including car and truck accidents, slip and fall injuries, motorcycle collisions, and much, much more.
Right. For all your legal needs, please contact Fran Hosh at 866-LAW-FRAN or lawfran.com, or you can stop by her office at 1275 Nebraska Avenue in Palm Harbor, Florida, 34683.
All right, cool. Now that that's out of the way,
Oof.
let's see. We got Josette Costa saying, Robin!
With exclamation points. HD Racers there. And
HD
Garth.
checking in. Garth, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Let's have some fun. So, as we said, we are joined by the lovely Miss Robin Hawk.
Well, thank you.
And we are going to kind of have a conversation with you real quick. We kind of talked about it earlier.
Okay.
Who is Robin Hawk? Where are you from? That kind of stuff. So just kind of throw it out there to the universe for everybody to know.
Oh, okay. So no pressure at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
So the sponsors, that's quite a mouthful.
It
Good job
is.
getting through that.
Yes.
So
That's why it's written down.
I know, right? So there's cue cards, but there's no cue cards for me. I don't know.
That's
where
it.
that-
No,
No,
it just
that's
says Robin Hawk.
Just
It
interview.
literally just says Robin. So I guess I better know who I am.
Yeah,
So
hopefully.
and I kind of don't, because that's the interesting thing. So my sort of mantra in life is, Uncaged Life. So I have this Facebook community page. It's all female group community page called Uncaged Women, and the whole idea is that your story is not written, and everybody has a story to tell. I just found that throughout my life, there's been this path where you just can't put me in a cage. I can't be confined. And what I noticed was so many people put limits on other people, tell you what you can't do, what you can do, your abilities, and no human being should ever have limits put on them. So at Uncaged Life, we believe that there's no limits, no rules, just freedom.
Cool.
It's awesome.
So Robin Hawk is a female rider. So I have, I kind of started out, and I'm from the mountains of Pennsylvania,
Okay.
truly. And I grew up a super poor farm family in the mountains. My dad was a hardworking man, kind of legendary for his work ethic, which is where I get a lot of that from too. And my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. There was a lot of control. And so she kind of lived her life in a cage. And
Yep.
so for me, I just knew that I could never be like that. I just needed to get out and do. And it took a while. It definitely did. And so I grew up on horseback. So I was always out riding my horse. And it was kind of my therapy. So I love horses, love dogs. And then every once in a while, some neighbor would come from the city up to the country and throw us a dirt bike that was half broken. So my brother, he would fix them up. And then he would totally destroy them because he was doing all these crazy things. So it would only last for a little while. But I got that taste and that bug, and it never went away. And I just loved the feeling from the horses, from the motorcycles, that wind in my face. And I just never felt so free. And outside the cage and into the wind. And so it's kind of carried me through my life. And my name is Robin. And then when I met my husband, so that it's Robin Hawk. And I'm like, it's so weird. And, it's all these things kind of coming together. And it was kind of, helping me write my story.
Yeah.
And my interesting thing too is, so it's kind of weird that as I grew up and as I started thinking about like, you know, being a woman in this country and in the world, and how could I help other women? Because I truly believe that we're put here to serve other human beings.
Sure.
So, you know, how can I really, truly help other women? And I realized it's so weird that I was born on March 8th. March 8th happens to be International Women's Day.
Oh, wow.
And the first year it was celebrated inside the United States and with the United Nations and all was 1975, which was my first birthday. So it was like the weirdest thing. And so all these little kind of things came together. And so I really, truly believe in women and I believe in humanity. And I just want to help other people, you know, live outside the box, uncaged. So that's kind of the story of Robin Hawk. I mean, I was a Spanish teacher for many, many years back in New York State. Moved here 5 years ago to Florida. And now I can actually ride every day.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's like, it's become a serious obsession.
Yeah.
Rain or shine, right?
Rain or shine, absolutely. I'll do either. And anybody who knows me can definitely attest to that.
Well, that's super cool because, you know, it's funny when you said horses and it just kind of clicked, right? So I had an old friend of mine that was, he was into horses too. And he always said, I ride motorcycles. I just ride a motorcycle with a brain.
Yes.
It makes its own decisions. And I'm like, it's an interesting way of putting it. I never thought of it that way. But
Well, I'll tell you what, we had Belgian draft horses. My dad
wow.
had, you know, teams of Belgian draft horses. And my favorite horse to ride on the farm was like old Big John. And he was this huge Belgian draft horse. And talk about a mind.
Yeah.
Like he had one all his own. And so when you want to go to the barn, like it doesn't matter what you want, like head off, under, like duck, tuck, and do whatever Big John wants to do. Because when you're going to the barn, you're going to the barn and you don't have any control.
you don't have any choice
That's
over
it.
it.
No matter how hard you
No
hold
matter
the
how,
rein.
no, not at all.
So we got your husband, Will, checked in. So William's here.
Oh, hey, honey.
Says, I love Robin.
Sybil, how you doing, sweetie? Alexander
Alex.
Matos.
Yeah.
Live life to the fullest.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely.
And God bless you. So,
Oh, how nice.
so that's cool. So then, dirt bikes.
Mm-hmm.
How's the obsession with dirt bikes turn into asphalt?
Okay. Well, so like I said, we only had one every once in a while when someone would throw something our way and then my brother would break it. And then my older brother at one point got a street bike. And we lived in the middle of the mountain on gravel and everything else. And I don't know what my brother was thinking, but he put little, probably like 8-10-year-old Robin on the front and showed me how to do everything.
Oh, boy.
And that's kind of where it started. And then I thought, okay, like I kind of love this. And many years later, so my husband and I, you know, we were, you know, busy in our lives and raising the children and everything like that. So it was kind of put aside, you know, for a long time. And we're in upstate New York where it rains like 95% of the year and there's no sunshine and it's freezing cold. So it really wasn't, you know, on the forefront. And then the economy crashed. And my husband had this old bike, you know, old Honda CBE. And he gave it to his brother when he had his first child. And so his brother had it and said, hey, you want that bike back? And I was behind the scenes saying, yes. And so he's like, yeah, sure. And he put it in the barn. And I was like, you know, I could ride it back and forth to summer school, save us a lot of money. And, you know, he's like, sure. And he kept like putting it off. And I was like, what's the problem? So he said, he goes, I've seen you on a bicycle. And you've seen me on a bicycle is not so good. It's kind of a, you know. And I said, okay, but fair enough. I said, but put me on something with an engine and you'll see a whole different situation. Because he had no idea.
Yeah.
So he said, all right, agreed. So he got it fixed up. And we had a 4-acre farm. So I just ran it around all the yards on the dirt to show him, like, I'm not going to dump it. I'm not going to do anything horrible. Like, you can trust me. I'm not going to die.
Cool.
So I did everything to try to dump it. Didn't dump it. And he said, just go to Harley school and make me feel a little bit better. Get your license. So I did that. And it was great. It was a great experience taking the rider course, you know, and teaching me more about streets because I'd never ridden on streets. And so I was really nervous the first time. I mean, I had a panic attack at the bottom of my driveway, and I started crying down my little cheeks. And he's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? You want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I need to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this because I need to prove that I can." So I did it in a busy highway. We lived on a gravel road that was up like this, driveway to the highway that was like a racetrack. So I did it, and I got up there, and I kind of never looked back. And he helped me practice and encouraged me, which I give my husband a ton of credit for thinking that way, because a lot of people don't. And so, I give him a ton of credit, and I love him so much for having the spirit to say, yeah, go ahead, do this. Awesome. And then I went to a birthday party. My sister took me to a birthday party, and they had a jump start there from Harley. and I said, I really like this T-shirt. Why don't we go down the Harley shop? St. Patrick's Day. Why don't we go down the Harley shop and I'd like that T-shirt. And we came home with a bike.
I already saw where that one was going.
Yeah, right.
We totally did. So he bought a Sportster, and that's how we started back into it. And he said, I think he had a dump truck business he was doing, working too much. We didn't need to be working so much. So he's like, I'm going to sell that. I'm going to get a bike. And I was like, all right, time to do it. We came home with that Sportster with the understanding that once I knew what I wanted, I would find the bike I wanted. And it took me a while, and I tried every motorcycle, which I always suggest to women. Try every single one, because nobody can tell you what fits you. And the Softail line fit my body perfectly. And I knew, it was Softail line, so it was, Deluxe, Classic, and the Fat Boy. And I tried the Fat Boy, and you can't find used Fat Boys. No. So you just can't, and they're all lows, and everybody kept trying to get me to get the Fat Boy low, and I'm like, I don't need a low. I don't need knees to chest. I need like a big old muscly motorcycle. So I got the Fat Boy, and I got her, and my husband actually, God love him, he looked and looked and looked, and he found one in Buffalo, New York, in a snowstorm. We went to see this Fat Boy that had been traded in for a boat. They never rode it, so it had great mileage, a great deal. Sat there for 2 years. He found that thing. Great deal, great mileage. And we went up in the snowstorm, and I'm like, that's it. That's
the one.
So were you here in Florida already, or were you still up in New York?
We were still up in New York, and so we went up in a snowstorm to get it, too, and trailered it to the house, and I had to sit there and stare at it for months.
Because you didn't get to test drive it.
No, not at all.
That's painful.
And I said, okay, this is the one. It was a black cherry color. And I said, okay, but at some point it has to be painted pink. And anybody who knows me and has seen me and knows my bike, it sparkles like pink diamonds. So
cool.
But we've been together, like me and Fatty, I call her Fatty Girl. Me and Fatty Girl have been together for like 8 years now, I think.
Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah, so she's really, truly. And I tell women that too, is that the longer you ride that bike and it becomes an extension of your body, it just feels like you. I can, I can thread that thing through a needle hole if I have to. I can back her up. I can do anything on that bike. I go anywhere on her.
Well, and it's like you said, it becomes a part of you. You know it because you know every sound, every shake, every
rattle,
shimmy, whatever.
Whatever happens. Hey, just letting you know, Eric's on. Says, hey, what's up?
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Mark Johnson.
Hey. Oh, Mark. Hi.
Yep. Dan Hopkins saying hi.
All the way from the
Leeds.
UK, Leeds, UK.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours. So.
Oh, nice.
That is something I wanted to ask.
Hello. Just kidding.
So there was something I was going to ask you. I mean, you do this here locally.
Yes.
Any plans on taking your thing worldwide?
Oh, absolutely. Well, my Facebook page, my community page is global. It's international. So I have lady members in my Uncaged Women Facebook community page from a lot of women from Argentina, Mexico. I am bilingual. I'm actually trilingual. I'm a linguist, actually. So I taught Spanish for years, French, German a little bit here, a little bit there. So I'm a little rusty because I don't do it so much anymore because now I'm a high school assistant principal.
You get her over there speaking Spanish to you.
So I mean, I love it. I love languages and I love learning. And so I absolutely would like to go as much globally as possible because I feel like I have the capability, the capacity to do so. And I love world cultures and things like that. It's kind of like built in.
Sure.
Understanding people. People is what I do. That's really, honestly, it's people that I love.
And the Uncaged Life, is that that's just in general. That's not motorcycle specific.
It's kind of, it's right now, it's kind of, because it's just starting. So I started it right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Awesome.
Well, it's good timing though, because everybody's inside and that's all they can do, right?
So I started a few things. There are a few caveats to it. So the Uncaged Life is a concept that I came up with because it's kind of like, salt life for fishermen and whatever. It is it's the cultural aspect of everything that bikers do, but it's not just bikers. Okay. So everybody knows. Like I started seeing this pattern. My dream car was a Jeep, so I have a Jeep. So, I mean, I need top off. I need, head in the breeze and things like that, even though I never get my top off just because I'm too busy. And also, for safety reasons, the husband did say, please get the hard top.
Get the hard top.
So I have the hard top, and it's
a
tough,
pain in the ass to get it off.
especially on a two-door Jeep. Yeah. It's a lot heavier. So I don't take that off as much as I'd like to, but it is kind of everything. It's horseback riding, it's Jeep people, it's motorcycle people, and ATV people. We all have that same spirit of being out and free. If you stick me in a cubicle, I'm gonna wilt and I'm gonna die. Mm-hmm. I just can't. And so many people I know are that same way. And so it was kind of born out of that whole idea of just I can't be stuck in a box. And my biggest thing is telling women, especially, nobody defines you. It's your story, your life. You write it. You define you. Nobody else does. And so it's kind of living outside the cage, and in all kind of ways,
Sure.
Symbolically.
Well, I can sympathize with that because I got into aviation at a very young age.
That's so cool too.
And
Like fly plane.
but I've been in aviation all my life, and then when I got out of the Navy, I got away from aviation because I was burnt out. I needed something different, and I did cubicle. I did office life. I did all that, and I lasted for about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be. And I needed, it's different because it's not really outside, but it's outside. I get paid to look out a window now. And
what a
it's
view
the same.
you have out that window.
Yeah. A little bit of a view.
And it's just, but it's it's the same kind of theory because it's just I'm the same. I hate being locked up inside somewhere. So
you get it too, huh?
Yes, I'm starting to get the fever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm ready.
I mean, she's ready to retire.
I'm ready
so.
to retire.
Yeah.
So my gypsy soul is starting to come to the surface now.
So you're ready to get out of the cage and into the wind.
Everything that you've said so far, I can totally identify with.
Yeah.
Like you said, your mother was not allowed to do things. My mother wasn't allowed to do things. I wasn't allowed to do things. It wasn't until I married the 1-3 that he slowly brought me out of my shell.
Yeah.
And
You were talking about being not able to do anything. Right. Well, that's
that was me.
Yeah.
She's her.
My father's Hispanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
traditional Hispanic. Women, you're to the back.
Yes.
You can't do certain things. You don't look a certain way, and that was not me.
Yeah.
I was bursting at the seams to get out.
Yeah. So many, and it's funny because I find that so many of the women I talk to and I've met have that same story. Yeah. And sometimes it's more obvious than others. Sometimes that cage is a lot less obvious. It's hidden, and sometimes it's our own limits that we place because of the experiences that we've gone through. I mean, I've been through so many different experiences that I don't even address and talk about. Right. And, they built me to be the person I am. I mean, when I say that we grew up as poor, there were times where we didn't have running water and electricity in the 1980s in my house. We lived in a trailer that was 2 trailers put together. My dad did the best he could, and he was a construction laborer and built bridges in our towns, and it was amazing. But yeah, at home, it was, that wasn't what was important. So, I mean, we had 46 acres of farmland to roam. I had a horse that I was with all the time. And that's what we did, and it's so many people that I meet, and so many women have kind of, the invisible, everything from the invisible to the visible barriers. And I think it's time, and right now it's the time to get out of the cage and be who you are, and it's okay. Life is too short not to be who you are.
Yeah.
Agreed, right? Even the dog agrees.
They're even with perfect. So Dan Hopkins is telling everybody, he says your work is your identity. Not just a job for living,
That's really true.
Yeah,
very true.
So,
and with your education, I bleed learning. So I mean, that's so we do these things called strength finders, and it kind of helps you identify your biggest strengths. And mine is the top 5 is learning and connectedness and people and and all those things and strategic. So all of my strengths revolve around learning, and I'm so curious all the time, which is why, right? So. Right. When I started this kind of the thing, so I have a YouTube channel that I started, and I haven't been able to do it for a while, but I'm going to get back to that part of it. And so I constantly want to break the barriers. I want to do what people think I can't and what I think I can't. So I wanted to ride a chopper because there was an empty space in our garage.
I love it.
So I'm I was do I go back to my roots with the dirt bike? Do I, and I do. I want to have a different bike for every occasion. But I was you know what? Girls aren't really known for choppers. I think I need to have a chopper. So I love choppers. Always, and my favorite movie is Easy Rider forever. And I get it. I get the movie Easy Rider. And a lot of people don't necessarily get it, but I do. And so I told my husband, I think I need a chopper. So he back to the Craigslist for me. I love that man. And so he found this chopper. We went and looked at it, and it was beautiful. It's a big dog, 2005. And we were like, okay, let's get this thing home. Let's buy it. So I bought it, and we went back to get it. It was here in Wesley Chapel. And I pulled, down in, and the guy like never rides. And I figured out how much he rode because I'd never ridden a chopper before, never. So I was like, I don't know. I've heard the horror stories and turning and all of that.
Yeah, you need
and so I'm
14
like,
blocks.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm like, I don't care. I'll do whatever. I'm not afraid. So the guy says, do you want me to get it up onto the street for you? Because his driveway was like this, and then you had to go directly like this and this. So I was like, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I said, no, sir. I said, I'd like you to back it out of your garage. So if anything happens, I'm not doing anything for your garage, but that's where you can leave it. So he left it, and I just did the thing I needed to do, and right away, and I never stopped smiling the whole way home. And the lights didn't work, and this didn't work, and that didn't work. And I got home, and, when we started looking at it, and it had a lot of damage. So, I mean, and they never took care of it, never cleaned it. And I was like, it was breaking my heart. It's a beautiful piece of equipment. So everything was tarnished beyond repair. So I started redesigning it. So I got new pegs, and I picked everything myself. And then the rocker boxes needed to be replaced, and I started doing that and learning as I go. So I started the YouTube channel, which is Robin Hawk's Chicks in the Garage. And so it's all about, not an expert by any means, but like sharing. So my husband will teach me how to do it, and then I'll do it. And then sometimes he like takes the wrench out of my hand and says, oh my God, don't touch that.
Don't do that anymore.
Don't do that. Stop with the pliers. Get away from the pliers. And I'm like, come on. So, I mean, he tries to be patient with me, so he's learning his patience too. But yeah, so I refurbed it on my own. So I have this chopper, and people are like, wow, that's beautiful. And then my husband steps aside. He says, you got to talk to her about that chopper. She did it.
I didn't do it.
She refurbed it, and it's gorgeous, and it's running now and ready to go. And,
awesome.
And so now I have the chopper and the Fat Boy. And so, and we're working out all the kinks and things like that with the chopper, so it still has little things, and I'm figuring it out.
And I'm sure it will always have things, little quirks and
but I was
and
like,
whatnot.
I mean, I never thought I'd love it as much as I love my Fat Boy, and I'm telling you what, I'm like, oh yeah, I was meant to be on a chopper.
That is so cool.
I wanted a chopper for years. I really did. I was like, choppers are awesome.
What don't you want?
If it has an engine, let's go.
Right? But no,
I'll take a plane.
I
me
will
too. We're gonna try to do the show from a plane one day.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think
that's exciting.
We're gonna try
Talk
that.
about out of the cage.
Yeah, literally, right?
Yeah.
Or
So we'll try
in a new cage, I guess.
Yeah,
You could
or
say,
you could
right?
say, I don't know.
So
It's
that's
definitely
funny
a win.
because now I didn't know that. So now this totally opens up a new thing. So then, so how much? I guess I'm trying to figure out the right way to ask this, but how much knowledge did you pick up in refurbing that chopper?
A lot.
Yeah.
Because I went from nothing. I mean,
So you had, there was no,
not
your complete
really.
bottom basement.
Right. Not really.
Didn't know what a 10 millimeter or an 8
Well,
millimeter.
no, I won't say that.
Okay.
Not that far. So when I was a kid, like growing up on the farm and stuff, I would help my dad with his cars and watch him fix the cars and things like that. So my husband used to build cars, and that's his former hobby. So we have a 68 Chevelle. And I jumped in. In fact, our first date was, here's the polishing rack. Go ahead and polish the car show.
No way.
And I totally did. I mean, and I was like, okay, I love it. Let's go.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm polishing the car, the very first date.
So like wax on, wax off kind of thing.
And then, so we started, working on the car, and I'm under the transmission, helping him change the transmission and get a facefull. And so I do all of those things, and I love it. And so, but the thing is, my husband has this weird ability to come out like he's never touched dirt. I don't know what it is. And I come out like I've never not touched dirt.
Like you took a bath in the oil pan?
Like I took a bath in the oil pan, brake dust.
All he's doing is rubbing it on you.
I know. And so I don't know.
He's like, honey, I'm dirty. Hold on.
He's like, what did you do under there? Roll around in it? And I'm like, no, I don't know. Same thing with the motorcycles. So I had a fair amount of like basic, kind of knowledge.
Okay.
But I'm definitely, I'm a thinker by nature. So I'm a language person. I'm a thinker by nature. So it's tough for me. And you take those old like military exams, the ASVABs, the CTBS, and all those. Every single one of them kept coming back when I was a kid and always said, you should probably be a secretary. You should never mess with gears. And I'm like, okay, so you're telling me, don't tell me what to do, because that's
what I'm gonna go that route.
I definitely am. My husband knows that all too well, poor guy.
So then the YouTube channel then is kind of how to get women into the garage.
Yeah. So what it is it's like a humorous kind of
Gotcha.
wrenching show.
Okay.
So I'm like, and I have this like little system, wing nuts, like rating. So I'm like,
okay.
when I changed my mirrors, I'm like, okay, girls, this is a 1 wing nut. You can do this in your sleep. This is no big deal. Go ahead, try it out.
Nice.
And then when I did the rocker boxes, kind of a thing, I'm like, oh God. And I put on my helmet, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like a 4 wing nut job. Don't ever do this on your own. Like, this was hard. And I will say my husband had to save me on that one because I did because you make mistakes.
Oh, sure.
I make mistakes, and sometimes they're real bad.
Yeah,
and
but what happens when you make a mistake?
When you, he has to go in with Healy coils.
Oh, no, that bad.
When you strip a screw, I still don't know how it happened, but, whatever.
That's all right.
So,
but you learn.
And like the 1-3's getting at, you learn from those mistakes.
But I learned from it, too, because now I know what Healy coils are,
Well, there
and
you
I know
go,
how
right?
to go into
You learned a new word.
I did.
You learned a new
I
word.
learned a new word.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were either.
Yeah, so when you strip something, you can fix it. And
Yeah.
it was pretty scary because that's like, I stripped a bolt in the head of the engine. That's kind of not a good thing. I knew enough to know that.
Wait till you strip a spark plug.
Oh, well,
break
I
one
did
off.
not do
Break
that.
one
But
off in there.
yeah, so
that's the best way is we break.
So
one
my
off.
next project is that's kind of like gearing me up because really what I desire to do is I desire to take from scratch and build a Frankenstein bike. I want to build a Frankenstein old school chopper myself. And my husband he bought 3 chopper frames. He's building a chopper. He refurbed and built a Heritage.
Nice.
That's beautiful and did Cholo style.
Nice.
So, which is my favorite too. So we're kind of like our garage. We were like up to 8. And
You're gonna have to buy a garage.
well, we were like, how can we figure out how to expand this in our neighborhood?
See, and I want to build a rat rod.
Yes.
So I'm building a shed in the backyard to put my lawn equipment and stuff so that I can build my car in the garage.
Yeah. My husband wanted to do a rat rod for a long time, but we're kind of all in bikes now, and so we've kind of moved the target on that a little bit.
Well, the rat rod is because I have a bike that I ride every day, and I'd like to sometimes maybe not get wet.
Yeah, sometimes.
Maybe. Because when I get up in the morning, if it's raining, I don't say, okay, well, I'm taking the car. I say, well, okay, I'm putting rain gear on.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
Well, I don't have rain gear, but I did make a pact with a few girls this weekend. So my lovely girls that were with me this weekend, coming back from our all-female ride, I did make a pact about the rain suit. So next year we decided we're all bringing rain suits. I have to purchase one.
I don't have one either.
I've now, I just get wet. It's not a big deal, but
it'll dry.
So I'll tell you, I have a pair, and I bought them. It was funny. So the way I got them was I was on a trip, and we were in South Carolina, and we got tickets to the Notre Dame South Carolina game. This was a tropical storm going on, and the boss brings us Under Armour rain gear.
okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want good rain gear,
Under Armour
rain gear is the stuff. You'll have to put some patches on it to keep it from burning. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I mean I haven't worn any of the Harley Davidson stuff or anything like that. But this Under Armour, we did that ride when we went up to the Tail of the Dragon.
So viewers, please give us recommendations for a girl who needs to be hooked up
Don't
with
get
a
the
good
rain gear
suit.
that man has.
Oh my gosh, the rain gear. I bought this stuff called Storm Rider by Nelson Rigg. Storm Rider. Bought it, riding, soaked. I mean, and this was in a drizzle.
Oh.
And then waited for the downpour. When I got in the downpour, I mean, I was like, I may as well just taken the damn thing off. Called the company, back and forth with the company. They sent me a new one.
Oh, nice.
And I said, well, that's really cool. So I said, you want the old one back so you can test it? No, don't worry about it. Wore the new one, soaked again.
Double soaked.
So I'm like, Nelson Rigg, Storm Rider, don't get
buy it.
No.
So I went to Frog Dogs.
Oh, okay.
I like my Frog Dogs. They're good. They keep me dry. Except for now I have blue and yellow on my exhaust.
I had a pair of Frog Dogs, and the only thing I did not like about them is they don't breathe.
No, and they go like this when you ride.
Yep.
Oh, no.
You're
I
like a
can't.
Michelin man.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
That's the only thing I didn't like
can't.
about them. But
I just can't do that.
so a couple of people more checking in. Laura, right? Ramon?
Oh, hey, I see Jen Brew in there.
yeah.
Hey, girl.
Yeah, she
First
says
time
you're not
checking
afraid of
in, and this is a great story. So, Millie McReynolds.
Millie,
so
hey,
proud
girl.
of you,
Hola,
Mamacita. And then Jen says she's definitely not afraid of anything. Dan saying, any girl who can get her hands deep in grease and make something work is a legend.
Oh,
so there you have it.
That's so sweet.
RST Textile is waterproof. So that's, I guess
RST Textile, okay. See, I'm going to get some good, stuff because...
somebody else saying, I have, that's what I have is Frog Talk.
Oh, okay.
All right, so speaking of coming back from a ride, let's talk about...
hey, Mama D, love you, girl.
Let's talk about the other project, the Stilettos on Steel project. The group. What is Stilettos on Steel? What do you guys do? What do you guys represent? So forth and so on.
Okay, so Stilettos on Steel. It's kind of interesting because for my husband, when he was riding, I was like, I want to go for a ride. And he's like, well, I'm kind of busy. I need to do this and that, whatever. And he's like, you know what? I think you should go find some girls to ride with. And I was new here. So several years ago, we went to the 110th anniversary of Harley Davidson in Milwaukee. And we went up there and I met Ann Zub, and she's the founder of Stilettos on Steel. And I was talking to her, just so happened, I didn't know anything about the group. And she was at a VFW where we pitched a tent in a baseball field. And so I was talking to her and she's like, oh, you should start a chapter of Stilettos on Steel. And I was like, well, I'm, going to become a principal, and I've got all these things going on. We might move sometime. I just don't think it's the right time. So I saved her card. Fast forward a few years, we moved to Florida, and I was here, and my husband said, oh, you should find some girls. And then I happened to see it go on Facebook. So I said, you know what? Maybe I should join now. Maybe that's telling me something. So I reached out. And I waited like 3 months and kind of tested the waters, as a lot of women do, and I think that's smart. So I tested the waters, and then I felt like, okay, this is a group I could feel safe to be myself. Because being a high school assistant principal, you're always in a fishbowl. Being a public figure, you're in a fishbowl. Yep. So I have to be careful about, the perceptions people have about me. And they have to get to know me first before, I can just relax. Sure. So sometimes I'm a little uptight. So I felt like safe in the group, and so I started to fit in. And I'm a really bubbly person and stuff, and so I can't be quiet for very long. I can't be quiet for very long. So it took me just a short amount of time, and then I was asked to be a leader. So I became a leader in the group, and I took the area which is Newport Richey and all the way north. And then it just started growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And we do open rides. We do member-only rides where it's just women. It's an all-female riding group. It's different than clubs and MCs because there's no pressure. So it's $40 membership for the year, and it connects women, and that's the idea. Connecting women, mentoring women who are newer riders. We do a lot of that. I do a lot of that, and I really enjoy it. And it's always boosting the skills. We went as a group to the Tampa Police Department's riding course just a few weeks ago.
We've been talking about it.
And it was amazing. Yeah. And it turns out one of my guidance counselor's husband actually runs it.
Oh,
so
no
I was
kidding.
like, that's so weird. And so
6 degrees.
I know, and it did a lot for us. So as a result, I brought back to the group, and there were 3 of the girls that went with me and our husbands and stuff. We brought back the lane shifting method that they use. So now in my particular chapter, I call it, we roll and we lane shift Tampa PD style. Mm-hmm. And it's so much safer. And I'm often the ride leader, not always, but I'm often, and I roll sometimes pretty deep. I have a lot of women that go on rides, 20 bikes or so, sure. I'm just going all over. And so I pride myself on, number one, we don't get separated a lot in red lights and stuff, because if you know how to do that really well, you can keep girls together, and if they're trained pretty well. And I am super duper safety conscious.
Awesome.
And I protect my girls. And we were just talking about, we just came back from the all-female ride. So the all-female ride, I really want to talk about too. So Jen Brew's on, Mama D's on, and Jen Brew is the founder of the all-female ride. And I'm going to tell you, I was so inspired. I went 3 years ago just as a participant. And I walked out of there, and the girls that went with me, I took a group of there was about 12 of us that went, that I led up there, 9 of us in a couple of different groups. And the girls walked out, and they said, I'm a different person. And it was so moving for me, and I'm like, we're all different people now. We've had this amazing experience. So the all-female ride in Jacksonville, this year, we just got done, so it was just last weekend, so I'm exhausted, so I got, no voice, and I'm kind of a hot mess still. But we get together, and Jen Brew's the founder. There are 5 committee members. I'm one of those. She interviewed me pretty intensely, and then she let me on, and I was like, thank you. Oh my God, I'm so honored. And so it's a whole weekend for women. It's
Okay.
a huge
cool.
women empowerment event. It's the premier ride for women in the state of Florida, no doubt. This weekend we did it, and we had about 435 women riders.
Wow.
They shut down
Wow.
the interstate for us. It's police escorted. It's the safest ride I've ever been on in such a large group. It's beautiful. The best moment for most women that I get the feedback on is we go down the one bridge. I'm not real familiar with Jacksonville, so I can't tell you what the name of it is, but it's a huge bridge, and we go down and we circle back. It's miles of female riders, so the ride circles upon itself.
Oh, very cool.
And
That
it's
is
shut
cool.
down. There's no traffic, and the police are very protective, and JSO does an amazing job. So they take us around, and we come back, and the moment that everybody waits for is everybody's waving at each other on either side. So we're all like waving at each other for a good mile as we cross, and then most women come back and they're like, they just get chills when they talk about it, and it's just the most empowering moment of so many women's lives. And when you walk on that, in the hotels, the host hotels, because we have parties and we have luncheons and we have guest speakers and all of that. And when you walk on there, what struck us all the first time we went as participants was, you don't know anything but love. I've never, ever in my life seen so many women of a variety of backgrounds coming together in unity. And it's, I was like, wow. I walked in, I got off my bike, and there were 10 girls instantly around me, hugging me. Where are you from? Where are you from? And I'm like, what? This is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, I was so inspired by that. So Jen opened up a spot on the committee, and I was like, oh, please, 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 pick me. And she did. And I was like, oh my gosh, she picked me. So I love her. I love the crew. So there's 5 of us, and it's Cajun, Sherry, Jen, Miss Prissy, and myself.
Nice.
Okay,
And,
so who
it's
is
awesome.
Lysandria?
Lysandra.
Yeah.
Oh, Lysandria. Oh, that's
Lala.
Lala. So Lala Lysandria, she is the state coordinator, and also basically now she's got a kind of a newer position. So she's kind of working with the whole country, and she's with Stilettos on Steel. She supports me in the background, any problems that I should ever need as a district coordinator. So I have 3 chapters that I oversee.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And so she kind of oversees the state, and now she's kind of working with more of the country, because Stilettos on Steel's gotten pretty big. It's one of the biggest female rider groups in the country.
How many chapters do you guys have? Off the top of your head?
There's about 13 in the state.
Oh, just in the state of Florida?
Yeah,
Wow.
we have
Okay.
about 400 almost about 400 members in the state. Florida has now surpassed Wisconsin as the #1 largest state for Stilettos on Steel.
Wisconsin was the founding state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And Anzub is from I think it's Madison originally.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And so it's a pretty awesome organization. I wouldn't have stuck with it if I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I'm also a member of the Litas, but there's not really a Litas area in the area, so it's just, I haven't gotten to meet up with the girls really
Sure.
yet. And then also Women of Worth Motor Group, which is founded by a friend of mine, Kelly G. Deming, up in Massachusetts. So,
Okay,
and
very
she's
cool.
starting to branch out and stuff. But
Lala is saying there's 1,200 members national.
yes,
That is crazy.
yes.
Charmaine Blanco is
Oh,
She's-
Shireen, hi.
she's making it her goal to go next year. She needs to get out of this shy box.
Yes, she does. Charmaine, you have the great hair. I don't know why you need to be shy. She's got the greatest hair.
So you need to get into it.
And I am like Charmaine.
Charmaine.
I'm the voyeur.
Uh-huh.
I like to sit back and watch, and I don't like to be the center of attention. And that stems from going back to my childhood where I was kept in a cage.
Yep.
And I wasn't allowed to do things.
Mhm.
So mingling with people isn't difficult for me, but it takes me a little minute to want to,
Yes.
Well,
Well,
be a part of
and the
something.
thing is that almost all of the women in the Stilettos on Steel organization that I've come in contact with that have joined our chapters, it's the same exact situation, but it doesn't last very long. Because I will tell you, I have a reputation especially in my chapters. I can only speak for myself, but I have a reputation. I think if anybody you asked, they would tell you that I'm one of the most supporting, women that they've met, in terms of the organization and bringing women out of their shell. Because like I said, I truly, truly, truly believe in empowering women, and to see women coming into my group and then 6 months later, just seeing how they flourish because they feel like it's a safe environment.
Right.
I felt like it was a safe environment and it allowed me to really bring out my personality. And, you know, and so I love that it does the same for so many. And it would do it for you too, sister.
Well, and I know because you made an
Come
impression.
on along.
You made an impression on me when I met you about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And you
then
also.
when he told me that you were coming on, I'm like, oh yeah, Robin.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, she remembered you.
I remembered.
And
your organization and everything. But I needed that.
Yes, you do. Come on along on the journey.
well, one of the things I've tried to get her to do is, you know, because she waits for me to go
And
for a
I love
ride.
to ride.
Yeah.
I love to ride.
She's always like, "Come on, let's go for a ride. Let's go for a ride." And I'm like, I'm tired. I've been working something, you know, and sometimes I just don't want to go. It sucks to say that,
Yeah.
but there is times when it's like, all right, I'll go. You know, then it's like, where do we want to ride? Just go that way. You know, that's what we do.
Just go that way.
Just go that way. But I've been trying to get her and just say, hey, look, find some girls to ride with. You know, find someone to ride with. You know,
I know one.
And now that I'm retiring, you know, it'll be even better for me because then I will be free.
Yeah.
I won't have to, you know.
And I'm telling you, you need to come to the all-female ride in Jacksonville. Everybody next year, save the date, April 1st through the 3rd. It is going to be amazing again. And so save the date. And you need to come.
Yes, I will.
Okay, see, you heard it. You heard it here, people.
I will.
She's coming.
all
She's
right.
coming.
Charmaine says I have 8,654 kids, so I feel like I don't know how to mingle with adults.
I feel ya.
I'm guessing school teacher, principal, something. along
Yeah, I
those
think
lines.
she does work in schools
Yeah.
too.
Oh my gosh, that's
it's
funny.
kind of a common thread.
Right.
Yes.
Well, that,
Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does too. Yeah. Uh-huh. And that's why I remembered you too. So when I was talking to these guys, I'm like, okay, so your wife was the one that was working in schools and blah.
and I'm like, yeah, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she says nope, not in school. So.
Oh,
Oh.
so she got just 8,000 random kids. I hope you
I
didn't have
guess.
all of those.
Yeah,
She's a hairdresser. Is a hairdresser too? All right, maybe.
Howdy from Dade City area. First time here, turning 66 tomorrow and still on two wheels. Biker Chicks rock.
That's
Oh,
awesome. That's awesome,
That's
Sherry.
so cool.
That's
66
awesome.
on still.
That is awesome.
Oh wow.
We had a
foster mom who adopted a bunch.
Aww.
Charmaine, that's awesome.
You're a special human
That
being.
is
I'm
true.
just gonna say that.
Love you, girl.
That's
Hairdresser.
unreal.
Yeah.
And Dan, I really do hope I can afford a trip to stateside. I just to stay and live the biker lifestyle somehow with you all.
Aww.
Hey,
yeah.
you know what, Dan? You're more than welcome to come over. You got a place to stay. I'll let you sleep in the
now
bar.
that the UK's opened up and you can actually move around and do
Yes,
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Just don't forget, we're coming to see you. So I need a bike for one day or a couple hours, and you and I can go for a quick ride.
There you go. So then, so how do you find time to ride with all these groups and everything?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, well, I will tell you this one of the things about Stilettos that I love so much is that we're a rider group.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some that are kind of like more charity oriented, or they do different things and have different things. We ride. And we ride a lot. So strategically, I picked my regional coordinators, my leaders. So my good girl, my best friend, Stephanie Thomas, she's a military veteran.
Okay.
She was a tank mechanic, and she's
Awesome.
an
No
amazing lady, originally from Germany.
She should be in
And
the garage with you.
she can do anything. Trust me. So my girl Stephanie, I love her to death, and she's always, beside me for anything. So she's retired. So now we have this little mini group in our chapter, especially in the Nature Coast chapter, that we call the Day Trippers. I nicknamed them the Day Trippers
There you go.
because I strategically picked people in different geographic locations and also people that have different flexibilities in time. So now she's starting to do daytime rides that I can't ever go on.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went to the Little Tail of the Gecko down here and had a great day out of there just like a week or two ago. We do have a group ride headed to the Tail of the Dragon because I love the dragon. I love curve negotiation more than anything. I love it.
You could do that, Sin. I've done the dragon. I did the dragon in the
Yeah,
ring.
it's super fun. Yeah.
I'm sure I could.
So-
They were shutting it down for COVID we went in March of last
How
year.
do you shut a road down for COVID?
They were shutting all of those roads down. Like the
'Cause
dust
they
was
didn't want a lot of
settling
people.
as we were leaving.
No
Everything
kidding.
was being shut
I
down.
All
went-
the paparazzi too
I-
on the side of the road.
And it was empty because of that.
Yeah.
So we got a good one. We had a great time at the Tail of the Dragon. So we're going back on Tail of the Dragon. We do that. We do a lot of activities too. We do, ride to some place for an hour or so, have lunch, get to know each other, bond.
Cool.
Like Lala, actually, state coordinator, said, all the different groups have all the chapters of any organization have like different mini cultures.
Right.
And ours, she said to me the other day, she goes, I think you're the most bonded group.
That's cool.
So we're
that's awesome.
super tight knit. Like, I saw my girl Tammy was in there. She's an awesome, I call her mom.
I love the, we've talked on this show at length about women riders.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
I love seeing it. We talk about motorcycle ownership for women has gone up tremendously, especially pandemic wise. Since the pandemic, it's gone even crazier. But it's so good to see, and I know there's a stigma out there that guys don't like women that ride their own bikes, and I don't find that at all. No, is it? You guys don't see it anymore?
I do not see it. In fact, I see the opposite.
Good.
Often, when I roll up, especially when I roll up on like the Trapper.
Yeah. That's what you make.
It kind of gets a little bit of attention.
A little WWE style.
Yeah. It's kind of like the punch in the
music
face.
going in the background.
But I have actually found the opposite.
That's awesome.
I find men all over the place are like, that's cool, and stuff like that. And so I think more and more they find it intriguing or interesting, or just different and really cool that women are out there so much. I don't find that anymore. Nobody has ever given me a hard time,
and
ever.
I don't know about you, but when that happens to me and we're out, that gives me a rush.
Mm-hmm.
That a guy is actually like, oh my God, because like he doesn't ride, I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a woman and a man's supposed to be riding, supposedly.
Yeah.
And it just makes me feel good that I can do something that a man can do.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I felt good. I feel good often because, I sometimes see how people ride sometimes. And I'm like, okay, so I could ride circles around that person,
Yep.
And I'm like, there's that guy that thinks he's such a great rider. And I'm going to tell you, like,
Not so much.
Not so much. And, and it's funny too, because Full Throttle hosted, they used to do a lot of like slow races. I love the slow race. Like it's my favorite thing to do. So I would enter the slow race. So the one night I wore my heel boots. So I don't often wear my heel boots, high heel riding boots. I don't recommend it for most people. So I wore those and it was a mistake to do the slow race in them because I'm going and I refuse to quit. Like I am, everybody that knows I'm super stubborn. Obviously. So I go and I refuse to quit my slow race and I won the first two heats and this guy couldn't do it so I gave him a second chance. So I gave him a second chance.
And you were handicapped.
And then I'm going and I do have my heel boots on and all the girls are there watching. There was like 1,000 people. It was like the anniversary. I totally dumped my custom painted, one-off, irreplaceable, pink sparkling diamond fatty boy Harley Davidson on the ground. And they're like, all these people rush in to pick it up with me.
Quick.
And I was like, oh, I'm so mad. And the, Full Throttle felt real bad. And they're like, oh my God, your paint job, are you okay? I was like, yeah, it's fine. And it's meant to be ridden. And so
there you go.
It is what it is. And nothing happened to it. Thank God. Because I don't go with crash bars either. So like, when I went to the Tampa PD class, they're like telling you for like the first half an hour how many times people dump and stuff like that. And we're like, oh boy. And then they're giving you pieces of carpet to put on your crash bars and keep pieces of carpet to put on your bags. And I'm like, wow. I ain't got any of that. I don't have crash bars. My bags are leather.
Let's put carpet all over the back, over the bike then, right?
And
just take your bags off. That's what I would end up doing.
Well, and the one officer, he said, because obviously my personality came out there too, so I can't hide it. So I'm like bubbling to the, like loud and me, and he's like laughing and whatever. And I said, I don't have any crash bars or anything. He goes, I can't believe on that paint job you don't have crash bars.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I do have a chip in it, and somebody did back into it at the Seminole Hard Rock.
Oh no!
I'd be pissed.
And I was, I rode it home and I didn't know because it was bent over into my front tire, and I didn't know. And it didn't handle any differently. It didn't,
The fender was bent in?
Fender was bent in just enough to rub, and I'm lucky I didn't blow my front tire.
Yeah.
So I got home, and my husband, we got separated. And it was midnight or something, and we got home. I pulled in the garage, and he goes, what did you hit? And I said, I didn't hit anything. and I said, but something's weird, because I could smell a weird smell.
Yeah.
So I go around, and I look, and I cried for 3 days. I'm not even kidding. So I'm not afraid of anything. And what makes me cry is when my bike gets a little boo-boo.
Yeah, of course.
get it, boo-boo.
Yeah, so my husband knew the distraught feeling, so he found a piece of trim piece that looks like it's just a chrome wraparound trim.
So it looks...
And so we put that on, straightened it out, and you can't tell.
Kind of like the old Electric Glide fenders.
Yeah. And I'm like, I hate that stuff. I hate the chrome trim.
Yep.
I don't. I have my Pike is completely chromed out, engine and all of that, but I don't like trim on it because no offense to anybody out there, I'm sorry, but I'm like, all that trim and stuff is like old man looking to me.
Yeah. But
I'm like, it looks like an old man bike, not a girl.
The old Electric Glides, that's what they had on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm not a chrome guy at all. My
hate
bike,
I love it.
my back. I'm gonna try this again.
New tongue.
My
Try
bike is all black.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing chrome on it are the cylinder heads. It's the only thing chrome, and that's the only thing that every time I look at it, I'm like, I want to get them done. But
I find it's like a love-hate thing. Like either you love the chrome.
well, you know,
or
it's
you
funny
don't like
because
the chrome.
when the new
I love
Harleys
it.
came out, the Street Glides and the Road Glides came out, they make them black now. They don't.
Yeah.
You have to specifically ask for chrome. So, I'm getting the
Oh, I
time.
have to talk
So
about Rosie.
yes, we need to talk about Rosie.
I need to talk about Rosie. So Rosie the Riveter, the iconic symbol from the 1940s. So if you don't know who Rosie the Riveter is, this sometimes helps. So yes, we can. So, I mean, it was used as propaganda, really, to pull women into the workforce so that more men could kind of go off and fight and stuff like that. So it really changed the game for women in industry. It changed the game for a lot of things and a lot of programs. Like, never before did women take care of each other's children communally and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that changed with that era, and so Rosie the Riveter became the symbol for that time, and then it became the symbol for female empowerment. So Rosie the Riveter, I mean, I love it and it speaks to me. So the Stilettos on Steel organization said, we want you to do a Rosie the Riveter ride every year. Everyone is going to do it. So I was like, oh my God, that's my jam, you know? So I was like, we're doing it big. So at Crystal Harley Davidson, Homosassa, Florida, it's the last Sunday in May every year. It's my 3rd annual. It's going to be big. So huge. So we celebrate Rosie. We have a look-alike contest. Everybody dresses up and rides in the Rosie outfits, including me. And then we do, I do a different kind of, it's a Uncaged Life sponsored bike show off. It's a little different take on the bike show because women typically can't do bike shows too much because of the lack of customization. So we do it differently. Most pink, most patriotic, things like that.
Yep.
And then, but the big deal is that Stilettos on Steel sponsors the ride part of it. And we have a big ride. This year we are police escorted up in Homosassa. And I'm hoping that we have lots of ladies that come out. We have national recording artist Angela Rain is doing a concert for us, teaching us her specific line dance, getting down in the trenches with us.
There you go.
Okay, I guess that's country.
It is country. I don't know either, really, to be honest. I'm sorry, I don't. But and Crystal Harley Davidson, I have to say, a lot of the Harley shops have really become much better. Burt's is really good down in down that area, and the others are getting better. And so I'm really happy to hear that. Newport Richie is starting to get like more events and things like that are different. But I have to give huge shout out to the Crystal folks because Amy Moody is the events coordinator. She's a woman. She's extremely, extremely gifted and talented at what she does. She does so much for us. She's given us free patches this year. She does everything for us. She's given us goodie bags, and Fran Hayes is sponsoring and giving us goodie bags. Born to Ride is a sponsor. They're going to be doing their videotaping.
Awesome.
So we have, tons of things going on that day, and it is so fun. And we're having some speakers of women who are in non-traditional woman roles that are going to be speaking, and just, short little things, 10, 15 minutes.
Very cool.
Huge day for us, and we want all the lady riders. Men are welcome too. You absolutely can come out, and we want women. It's a free ride. It's a free event. I really, really would love to see all the women come. I like to pack us in there, I don't think we're going to come close to our numbers at the all-female ride, the 435 riders that we had there.
That is amazing.
But, so it was amazing. And Rosie the Riveter Ride Day, there are many, and if you can't come to Crystal River, or Crystal Homosassa, you can look for them wherever you're at because we're doing them all over the country.
Okay.
It just happens to be my jam, so I like to do it big. And also we have International Female Ride Days May 1st. There's a lot of events for women ongoing that day.
So when it is May 1st then?
It is May 1st.
Okay.
It's the first weekend in May traditionally.
Gotcha.
Started by Miss Gray out of Canada.
Oh wow, very cool.
Yeah.
And then is it a ride to specific spots, or you guys just?
For my Rosie the
She's gonna
Riveter
haul
Day, we just have a beautiful scenic ride.
Okay.
Beautiful scenic ride is what we do. We do not go to destinations. We
Gotcha.
come back, we eat and fellowship and do all of those things and just basically sister it up like crazy.
The guys are off in the corner somewhere.
And the guys are usually, grabbing themselves a drink or whatnot.
Yeah, Dee is telling you she'll be there in spirit.
Aww, Mama D.
Mama Dee.
So
She's
you'll
my
be
girl.
reading
She's
the
selling
whole-
books. Mama D is amazing. If you don't know Mama D, folks, look up D Jones, Mama D, 50 States of Consciousness. She travels everywhere. Hardcore lady. Love you, Mama D. Sorry.
No, I was just asking.
Yeah.
Does the ride originate there in Homosassa?
It's actually, well, kind of. So the first year they asked us to do it 3 years ago, I definitely took up the challenge immediately. And there were a couple other chapters that, did it in smaller kind of ways. And I think people did it in their own ways, but I did it really big the first year out just because it speaks to me personally. I love the symbol of Rosie the Riveter and always have. It's just been, and so I was super excited about it and went like a dork on a dictionary. I went crazy.
That's awesome. I just wanted, one of our everyday watchers is Garth. He said, "Great show, great story, Robin. Great perspective and outlook to span all genders. Keep up the great work.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Garth.
Stay safe." Yeah. So you've got All Women's Ride next year, April
1st through the 3rd.
April 1st through the 3rd.
Jacksonville.
In Jax. Then
Yes.
you have Rosie Riveter May 1st.
Yes. No, Rosie the Riveter is May 30th, the
May
last
30th.
Sunday
Jesus.
in May every year.
Okay.
May 1st is the
May 1st is the
international
International
May 1st,
Female
that-
Ride
that's-
Day that
that's what I
happens
was
all
getting
over
confused with. Okay.
everywhere.
Okay.
All over it's a global adventure.
Yeah. What else?
We've got a YouTube channel. We've got Instagram. We've
Yeah,
got,
tell us about what you have. Everything. Where
So,
to go. If people wants to find
I have
you.
basically all of my stuff can be found under Uncaged Women. My Facebook community page for women is Uncaged Women. My YouTube channel is Uncaged Women. My social media, I have Twitter, Uncaged Women, Instagram, Uncaged Women. I also have a deep, weird obsession with taking photographs. I'm an amateur photographer as well. So I take photographs. Mostly my passion is the guts of the motorcycle.
Oh,
so
cool.
when we take them apart, I'm like watching
nice.
the clutch box and the oil dripping down, and that's my photograph. Like that's so my series right now that I'm working on is Love, Chrome Love.
Okay.
And so that's my next one is going to be Rust.
There you go.
'Cause I love Rust.
Rust is good.
Rust is good.
I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you what I like to do. With photography, because I don't want people stealing my ideas.
Yeah.
Dan saying he will like and share Uncaged Women.
Yeah,
Aw, thank you,
You'll be
Dan.
shared
Is it
all over
uncaged
the...
or uncaged?
Uncaged.
Uncaged with
Uncaged
okay.
Women. My license plate's even uncaged. Both of them.
Nice. Awesome. And I do want to, before we close the show out tonight, I do want to say one more thing. This is non-female related writing, but I would be remiss if we didn't say this. We had Super Dave Osborne. I did it last week.
I know
Super
you did.
Dave Allen from CVMA on the show last week, and they're doing a final mile ride covering a bunch of states. They're going from James A. Haley
Yes,
to Kentucky.
to Kentucky.
Wow.
They're escorting a veteran, a deceased veteran, back home.
He was
Basically.
he was an unclaimed veteran.
Unclaimed veteran. Just real. Did I lose it all?
It's up there if you want.
Oh, it is. Yeah. So just real quick, the veteran's name was William Anderson Taylor, combat vet from World War II. He was in the Army Air Corps from 1942 to 1943. He also served in Korea in 1951 and 1952. He got out of the Army as an E7, a technical sergeant. He was given the commission in the from the governor of Kentucky as a Kentucky colonel. So he went on his rest of his life as Colonel Taylor. I'm not going to read all this stuff, but Colonel Taylor, they're taking him from the VA hospital here in Tampa, and they're going to do a full final mile ride all the way to Kentucky. All police escorted the entire way,
The entire trip.
which is
that's
super
amazing.
cool.
It's a 1,000-mile ride.
And Dan said, or Dave said, that if anybody wants to come out and support, they are more than happy to.
Wave on the side of the road or ride in it.
You can ride. Got to get there early if you want to do the ride. I know that. They're leaving a funeral home at 7 a.m. these are all hard times from what Dave told me. So 7 a.m. they leave the funeral home. They'll arrive at James A. Haley at some point, and then they're going to do a final mile ceremony at 0900. And we've been in a few of those.
Yes.
They're going to have they're going to play taps. They're going to do a hand salute. They're going to do all that stuff. And then at 9:30, hard time 9:30, they're going to depart James A. Haley and start their ride.
I will be riding this. I took off half a day. I work for the VA, so
okay.
they gave me admin leave because it's a funeral procession basically. And what we'll do is we will line up at 9 o'clock. So they're gonna bring everybody in, and we actually start lining up 9 o'clock, and like you said, a 9:30 leave.
Yep.
But anybody that wants to go, that wants to ride with us, you have to be there before 9 o'clock so that you can line up with everybody. Because after like 9:15, you're done. You can't line up anymore.
And for anybody that wants to, that doesn't want to ride but wants to, pay their respects along the route, they will be going, taking I-75 up to Ocala for their first stop. So you can catch them at any point in time there, and then you can go from there if you want. So like I said, that's tomorrow morning, guys. 0700 at the Jennings Funeral Home in Sarasota.
Right, but I would just go ahead if you're going to ride, instead of trying to go there.
Yeah, meet at
James A. Haley. And if you need to know where that is,
just Google VA Hospital Tampa.
Yep,
that's the best way to do it.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Other than that,
we're getting a lot of great show. Do you got anything, Sin?
No, I've just been enjoying this.
All right, you had a question earlier out there, and I was like, man, this is perfect show stuff, and I was trying to remember what the question was. It was something about riding, and you were talking, and it was like, I'm like going, no, you save that for the show.
Listen, I could talk
Now
forever.
I'm stumped.
I know.
A couple of questions.
I know. It was just something. Was it something that did she cover everything that you had questions on today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Cool.
What we'll do is before you leave here tonight, I'll get all your socials, all your event pages and all that stuff, and we'll get a blast and put it all on the show. So
That's awesome.
Cool. Other than that, you got anything?
No, I'm good, man.
Okay. Hey, I want to say a special thank you to Miss Robin Hawk for coming and hanging out with us
See,
tonight.
now you made me feel bad.
She has lit my fire.
It's so good, and I hope that happened on the other side. So people that were in the same boat going, what do I do? How do I do this? And hopefully for those that watch this afterwards and watch the recording of this, hopefully we can spark some of that, because putting women on two wheels is an amazing thing, and I think you guys are awesome for doing that.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
So
thanks for having us, and thanks for supporting
of course,
us.
No problem.
absolutely.
The more people that support, I mean, it's really appreciated.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
thank you guys.
Like I said,
And lady.
We've talked about it in length for several different shows, and it helps that we have a female writer already in the group.
Yes.
So that's always good. Again, another thank you to everybody on that side of the screen, because without you guys, this show is nothing. So so
mine
thank
looks like
you.
a police badge.
Thank you to all the new folks that joined. Hopefully you come back and check
every
us
week.
out. And we're here every week at 7:00. And every week on Thursday at 7:00. And if you like the show, please do us a favor, like, share,
Please
let everybody
share.
know, because it helps us. It helps get this show out in front of people, and makes the show better to have a bunch of new faces on. So.
And ladies, share it. They're really very nice guys.
I appreciate
like
that.
ladies, share it. They're bringing women to the world. So please share and support people who support us. So ladies, share this thing. These guys are good guys.
Thank you for that. All right, I got nothing.
I'm good, man. I got nothing.
You guys keep it rocking.
Keep the rubber side down, baby.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bye bye.